It is your witchy friend Grace from Small Worlds Big Adventures with a little Spooktober announcement before our review of the maddening board game Arkham Horror, released in 2005. This week and the next 3 weeks, we will be giving away a game from our personal collection. This week's is Unlock, Mystery Adventures House on the Hill, a spooky escape room in a box. To qualify, you must live in the United States and comment on at least one video this week, October 1st through 7th. We will then randomly choose a winner from the comments. Also, everyone who comments throughout the month, the 1st through the 30th, will be entered for a brand new copy of Horrified, a maddening cooperative board game with iconic monsters. We will announce the winner by commenting on one of the winning person's comments and announce on each Sunday's video who has won. The more videos you comment on, the greater chance you have to win. So let us know your thoughts on each game.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Gracie, and this is Scott from Small Worlds Big Adventures, building community through gaming, and today we're talking about Arkham Horror from 2005.
Also known as Second Edition.
Yes.
Arkham Horror 2005 is a game for 1 to 8 players. It plays in 2 to 3 hours, moving upwards if you have more players. Cost, you can get it for maybe $150. The game is technically out of print, so you're only going to find it on eBay or maybe a used shop.
Yep.
There's a newer edition that's still selling for $65.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly. Setup teardown, you're looking at probably a good 10 to 20 minutes. There's a lot of card decks and pieces and things. It's going to take a little bit of while. The game plays, you have a board that is set up as if you are in Arkham, the city, with different locations and buildings, and you're running around the city. You're trying to, these portals open up, letting monsters out, and you're trying to both kill monsters and shut down portals. And if you can't shut down enough portals, then a great old one comes out and attacks and usually kills all of you and destroys the world.
Yeah.
So.
We, funnily enough, have a pet that is named after an old one, Cthulhu. Also goes by Lulu, Toodaloo, that one. Thought that would be really funny if we named it that, because Cthulhu is the destroyer of worlds, and the puppy would destroy our house, and it pretty much did. So our question for you today is, which H.P. Lovecraft name do you think would be a great one for a pet?
Azathoth.
Azathoth. The next puppy.
Sure. Azzy.
Yeah, that is very cute. All right. When we rate games, we rate them on a 5-point system, from terrible to bad to mixed to good to excellent. And to kick it off, player agency. What do you think?
I consider player agency for this game to be mixed. Mostly because this is another game that's kind of on the razor's edge of winning and losing. And while there are technically quite a few things you can do on your turn, you can move from location to location, you can attack a monster. Technically, at locations that you're at, you then have an encounter later in the thing, which sometimes gives you a choice, or you can go into a portal to try to shut it down. If you're doing the wrong thing too many turns in a row, you're going to lose pretty quick.
Yeah. I also said mixed for that very same reason. It is a game where you have to be constantly communicating with your teammates, and sometimes what you may want to do versus what everyone should do does not always match.
Yeah, it's a really good game for player roles. If you have one person who's built to kill monsters and one person who's built to shut down portals and maybe a couple of general use people, it's going to play a lot better. But then that kind of locks you into a role, which reduces your options.
Very much so. Mechanics-wise, I think are good. The way you move around the board and the cards you can draw to help things, and even like support the teammates, I think plays out pretty well, despite it being a razor-edged theme game. But you think it's mixed?
Yeah, I put mixed mainly because in next week we'll be reviewing Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. This game is from 2005 and kind of feels its age. Some of the rules in it are a little kludgy. not as smoothed out as the third edition is, or modern board games kind of are. It works. It worked well at the time, and it still works as a board game. But when you compare it to kind of more modern games, I put it as mixed.
Totally fair. But components wise, what do you think?
I put good mainly because there's so many of them. If it was a modern game, you'd probably have minis for your characters and maybe some of the monsters. This uses the old standees, and they're fine. The art's good. The board is kind of this dark brooding town, and the cards have fun mythos themed characters, and the monsters are good drawn monsters. So it's good, but mostly because there's a lot of stuff to it. And the quality is decent. It's decent cardboard and stuff, but I wouldn't quite put it up to some more modern games.
Oh, for sure. I also think they're good. I also think that there's so many pieces is a detriment to any game. If you need 20 piles of something, that automatically checks some people out.
Yeah. Fair.
And all the reasons you think they're good, I think they're good too. My one complaint is the age of the game. They have these little tracking things. I think they look like pills. And in a modern game, that would be attached to a board, and it wouldn't just slide off your thing.
If your character sheet gets bumped, you can lose where all your stuff is. Yeah.
So that's my one complaint. But having said that, it doesn't really take away from the components. It just means it's not excellent.
Yeah, they're good with an asterisk of kind of feeling its age.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Theme-wise, what do you think?
Good. The game feels like you're rushing against time to stop a great old one from destroying the city, and it works. The theme feels pretty much right on.
Yeah. I think it's excellent, pretty much for the same reason.
Yeah.
I think I have a soft spot for the Cthulhu mythos. I enjoy it a lot more. When we talk about zombie games, it's almost the opposite. It gets a little nudge to the negative because I'm like, ugh, zombies.
Yeah.
But again, it feels like the end of the world is coming. It feels like you're in 1920s, world, and you're trying to make do as best you can.
Yeah.
But along with that, enjoyability, I think, is good. The times I've played, I think I've lost everyone. But despite that, I still enjoy playing it. So I think it's a good enjoyability.
Yeah, I put mixed for this for kind of a couple reasons. I do like the game. But again, and we'll talk about this next week with the third edition, I don't think it quite holds up as well versus the third edition, which makes a lot of sense. Also, especially if it's a game that you're kind of losing, the game can go on long.
That is true.
And when you're having a bad game, it can feel like a long game. And sometimes you hit a point where you're just kind of wondering, is there even any point in playing the rest of this out?
Are we good?
Yeah.
We're all going to die?
And that's not great.
No.
So mine is mixed.
That's fair.
I enjoy I do enjoy the game, but I wouldn't rate the enjoyability quite to good at this point.
That's fair. My overall thoughts, it's tough to win. A lot like the Pandemic games or Forbidden Island. It's strategic, and you can still go wrong.
Sure.
I like the theming. I think in a lot of ways, for me, the H.P. Lovecraft world feels horror in an approachable way. It's so fanciful. It's not close to being real, which is lovely.
Sure.
As I'm chicken. But lastly, even if you do like that world, it is not an intro game. It is not an onboarding game.
No. It's complex.
It's very complex, and for complex games, it's complex.
Yeah, and again, that's another spot where it kind of shows its age, where some of the rules aren't necessarily quite as clear as they would be for a more modern game.
I wouldn't want to onboard more than one new person to this game at a time.
You're going to take a lot longer to play if you do.
For sure. Yeah. And it's also not a game that you're you just one round and you'll have it down. It's not that game.
Yeah, no.
But if you like complex games that delve into, horrific worlds, it's a good play.
It's worth putting the time in for that. Yeah. I agree. It's Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy Lovecraftian mythos and stuff. There's a lot of expansions to it. Again, those will also be out of print, so they could be hard to find. But if you can find them, they add quite a bit to the game, depending on which expansions you get. but unfortunately, it is out of print, and
Yeah.
the game can be hard to find. You might have to search around if you're really looking for it.
All in all, your recommendation would be, this is great, but maybe start with the 3rd edition.
Yeah, an easy recommendation would be start with the 3rd edition. But if you see this in a used store or something, don't be afraid to pick it up, especially if it's not super expensive.
Yeah, for real. If you like the Lovecraft mythos overall, you'll probably like this game. If you like games like Pandemic, where it's kind of a razor edge situation, you'll probably like this. Yeah. Or Call of Cthulhu, the RPG game.
Yeah. It's themed to that, and it's similar and dangerous, and your characters can easily die. And
don't just go punching stuff in that game.
don't do that.
If you enjoyed hearing us review this game, go ahead and hit a like button. If you
specifically a like button for this video, not just any like button. I mean, do feel free to hit any like buttons.
If you want to hear more of Scott's wit and charm, other board game reviews, especially this month, we are doing 31 horror board game reviews for Spooktober. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified next time we upload. And until then,